You know, I guess, I guess me being the loser when it comes to FlyGirl, I guess that really shouldn't be no big deal. Because after all, she's obsessed with somebody that doesn't really love her. And meanwhile, there was a guy who looked out for her and took care of her and defended her. And that guy was me. And the one that she's in love with never did anything for her. You know, I was actually thinking about this a couple days ago. About FlyGirl. And I was thinking about how I defended her. I did everything. I was disliking Brandon Vox. And I was thinking about all that I did for her. And I got nothing out of return because of it. I didn't get anything in return because of it. But you want to know something, okay? When Ginger went live, when Ginger did one of those scopes, which I am going to do another video on Ginger. When Ginger did one of those scopes about listening to FlyGirl's voices recording, I go live and I say, "Oh, don't worry. You know how it's going to go. Don't worry. Don't worry. When she gets rejected or when she gets blocked by him, she'll come to me." And of course, I left the replay up. But she hasn't done that. She has no place to go. And she's still going to get blocked by him. Now, the interesting part about this is FlyGirl was part of the tree that I spanked. You know, I'm the one that loses out. I lost to Keenby over FlyGirl. I'm the man. Like I said, I'm Razor Ramon and Big Keen is Shawn Michaels. But does this mean that I lost? Does this mean that I lost to him over FlyGirl? No, because he's not in love with FlyGirl and she's obsessed with him. Could there be a possibility FlyGirl needs help? I believe that in some way FlyGirl might need some help in some ways. Okay, yes, we all have our obsessions over people, but she might need help, FlyGirl. But this Ginger. The only reason why Ginger goes live on FlyGirl, okay, is because Ginger is bored. Ginger has nothing to do in her life. She's bored and she has nothing to do. You know, she can sit around the house all day and fart. But you know what? Ginger is bored. That's why Ginger goes live on FlyGirl, because Ginger is bored and Ginger has nothing better to do in her life. And I am going to be doing another video on Ginger. But you know what? Okay? But the interesting part is that you want to hear something very interesting? One of the best things that Ginger said about FlyGirl is after she listened to FlyGirl on that recording about Lulu B calling FlyGirl a snitch, right? The best thing that Ginger ever said about her, even though I don't like Ginger, but one of the best things Ginger ever said was, "Hey FlyGirl, why are you jealous of Lulu B? Is it because Steven doesn't want you anymore?" Well, well, well. That's some interesting shit right there, huh, kiddies? That's some interesting shit right there. Well, you know what? Why would she be jealous? I mean, come on. Everybody knows I would take both. So what would there be jealous about? I mean, come on. If a woman's jealous of another female over a guy, and let's say if the guy wants to have both, would she appreciate that? I'm sure, I don't know. But here, does FlyGirl wish Keen would take her and Lily at the same time? No, because Keen's not like that. He's too broke to have two females in his life. But you know what? I still think about the times. Remember the times when people said how me and FlyGirl would make a great couple? You remember that? I still think about that. I think about that sometimes. And people bragged about it. People just totally bragged about it and said, oh my God, they would make a great couple. They would make a great couple. She even said that she would meet up with me if my parents took me to see her in North Carolina. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'd be nice. I'm sure I would introduce my parents to her. And this way they can say, I heard so much about you, my son stood up for you. I mean, if that was me, I would say, you know what, okay, yes, my son did a lot for you. You didn't ask him to do anything. But you know what, I just hope you appreciate everything. But it's just that FlyGirl has this obsession with Keen. And here I guess I'm the one that lost out. But remember one thing. Remember, one of the interesting things were, I just forgot about this. I just forgot. FlyGirl had in her profile, FlyGirl/Team Steven. She did. What was that all about? Wow. You mean all that hard work I did it really pay off? I mean, come on. I did all that work. And that's what I got out of return. Her putting in her profile, FlyGirl/Team Steven. Remember FlyGirl Nation? Remember I did a thing called FlyGirl Nation? You remember FlyGirl Nation? I put an end to that. And the only reason why, let me tell you something, okay? You all know how this all began with FlyGirl. You remember how I was always defending Danielle? Even though she got a man, I was always defending Daniela, the dancer. Until one night, it was Super Bowl Sunday. Okay, the Super Bowl game was over. After the game was over, we were all on Scope having fun. I was in pink Scope, and Burkle was there. And John Burkle said to me, you know what? You should drop Danielle. You should focus on FlyGirl. You should focus on FlyGirl. And I did. But you can't say, oh, it's Burkle's fault that I was defending her. Like I blamed Stormy for defending Daniela. No, I'm not blaming John Burkle for anything because it's not John Burkle's fault. John Burkle never said to me, hey, Steven, you should defend FlyGirl. All he said was, Steven, you should focus on FlyGirl. You should drop Daniela. You should focus on FlyGirl. Daniela was chapter 1. FlyGirl was chapter 2. And we all know who chapter 3 was. Chapter 3 was Lulubi. And chapter 3 was the best. Because I got more action in chapter 3 than I did with chapter 2, probably. But you know what? With FlyGirl, she has her issues with people. I mean, come on. I could tell you one thing, okay? What would be a good example why me and FlyGirl have an attachment together? Okay, for example, I got angry at her for being in Keenscope like I do to other people, like I get angry at other people for being in Keenscope. She gets mad at me for being in Dreescopes. She gets angry at me because I let Lexi in the beam. It's like she tries to be in command of other people's scopes. Like she tried to be in command of my scope. So here, okay. Oh my God. Whoa, this is interesting. I mean, we all know the meaning of when Harry met Sally. But is this like a reflection? Is this like a reflection of when Steven met Christine? Could this be a reflection of when Steven met Christine? I get mad at people for being in Keenscope. FlyGirl gets mad at people for being in Dreescope or Wingscope. It's like we get angry at people for being in somebody's Scope. She gets angry at me for being in Dree Scope. I get angry at her one time for being in King Scope. I call her in a scope to make sure she's okay because she was being tortured in Big King Scope. But when I go into Dree Scopes, I never got tortured by people. She never had to call me in a scope and say, Steven, are you okay? But I did that for her. So could this be a connection right then and there? When people say, oh, you and Fly would make a great couple, could that prove it? Could that prove it? After all, she was part of the tree I spanked. But can that prove it? I don't know. But I guess it can. That could prove it. I mean, that could prove it right there. I mean, come on. If there's a guy and a girl, I mean, if there's a dude and a chick out there that get mad at people for being in certain people's scopes, like I get angry at people for being in Big King Scope, right? Because I feel like they take his side, because I'm in competition with Big King. That's why I get mad at people for being in Big King Scope, because I'm in competition with him. It's a popularity competition, that's why. And here, FlyGirl gets mad at people for being in Dree Scopes or Wing Scopes or allowing Lexine to be in whatever, blah, 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 whatever. But then again, it makes you wonder. Because there'd be proof that that's a combination right there. In the words of Stacey Ladinsaw, would you say it's a perfect combination? We will always be a perfect combination. At last, we get mad at people who go in other people's scopes. You and I have meant to be. I got mad at you for being in Kings, and you got mad at me for being in Dree Scope. A perfect combination. We will always be a perfect combination. We couldn't last and forever. Yeah, a perfect combination. Maybe Stacey Ladinsaw can answer that question. If you say to Stacey Ladinsaw, hey, you should see how Steven and FlyGirl act. We say that they would make a great for each other, but you should see how they act. They get mad at other people for being in somebody's scope. But I guess you could say that's a perfect combination. Maybe Stacey Ladinsaw can answer that question, because she sings that song. A perfect combination. We will always be a perfect combination. We couldn't last it forever. Yeah, a perfect combination. I mean, she never had a look out for me when I was going into Dree Scope, because I never got tortured in Dree Scope like she got tortured in Big King Scope. And I have my rights to be angry, you know? But when she gets mad at me for being in Dree Scope, does she get mad at, is it a popularity competition like I have with Big King? No. She just gets mad at me for being in Dree Scope. She gets mad at me